Hey, hello, and how are you? Welcome to another episode of the Slightly Warped podcast. Uh, I'm Rick, joined as always by Big Show. Show, how are you?
What up? What up? What up? What up? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. You know, we say it, I think we said it the last four episodes, getting through this crazy weather here and there. One day it'll be chilly, one day it'll be super hot. I'm waiting on Mother Nature to make a decision.
Yeah, she's got Tourette's. That's for damn sure.
That is true. How's your week been so far? How was your weekend leading up to it?
Long, busy. I got the new job with the Postal Service, so I work in 6 days a week. Tuesday's been my only day off. Um, yeah.
Look at that. We're making you work on a Tuesday.
This is fun. This isn't work. And if it is work, I need some checks, brother.
Oh, I wish I get paid
You
for it.
you owe me a lot of money if that's the case.
I'll write you an IOU.
You'll pay
Speaking
me
of
as soon
fun
as the
though,
Raiders win the Super Bowl.
hey, I don't want to say that because they might fall into it this year. Then I got to come up with some
Oh,
money.
shut up. They will not. You're safe.
I probably am. Um, but we are gonna have fun today. This is episode 219. 219 episodes of the podcast. And this one I like to call Are They Assholes? And if you're wondering where I'm getting that from, people, uh, we're taking a few stories off of Reddit, and you have a very popular section called Am I the Asshole? And that's where someone will write down a particular situation, story, something they may be going through, or how they deal with something. And they ask the public, Am I the asshole for that? And the public will say yay or nay. And we're going to go through these and we're going to decide as well. Big Show, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to start with the first one here. This one
Okay.
um, I, I presented to my work colleagues yesterday, and I'll tell you where they stood on it after I read it. This one is teen bans aunt from extravagant Sweet 16 party for ignoring her dress code rule. And just to summarize on this, a mom was stressed out while planning an elaborate Sweet 16 birthday party for her daughter. Now, in this family, it's a huge deal uh, for the birthday girl to have a specific request on their birthday. So I get that. So she was writing, Am I the asshole to a Reddit? And it goes like this uh, Am I the asshole for siding with my daughter, who's 15, when she enforced the no red dress code with her aunt and everyone else for her sweet 16? And just to make a long story short, I believe that her only parameters for her sweet 16, it says here, is that she and her boyfriend were the only ones to wear red because she wanted to be like Jack when he turned into Santa Claus. I guess that's the reference to what was that movie?
Night before Christmas.
Night Before Christmas. Thank you. And she told family and friends and made it very clear no red. Now, this is the part where she wants to know if she's the asshole. With the party 6 days away, I ran into my aunt and she was excited to show me the pic of her outfit. The shoes were beautiful, but they worried me a little because they had some red on them. I brushed it off because who looks at shoes anyway? Then she showed me a beautiful red dress. I was shocked, and it showed because her smile fell as she looked at my mom and said, It isn't red, it's burgundy. You told me I could wear it because it isn't red. My mom agreed it was much darker in person. Now, I was trying to fix my face and not panic. I told myself it would be okay and that I would talk to my daughter about it. Skip to a few hours later when I did talk to my daughter and was able to show her a picture of the dress. My daughter asked if my aunt could please wear a different color because my aunt said no. Oh, excuse me. My aunt said no because she ordered the dress for the party. My daughter told her it was the only rule she had, and if she wasn't willing to follow it, she would miss having her there. But if she was willing to change the colors, we would love to have her. And yada yada yada. Let's see. Yeah, she backed her daughter. That's why she wants to know if she's the asshole. Because she said, no, you can't come to the party if that's what you're going to wear. Dress code, yada, yada, yada. All right, Big Show. First, I want to hear
Yes.
from you. Do you think she was an ass for that?
The mother?
Yes, the mother's wanting to know if she's the ass because she sided with her daughter for enforcing the no red rule.
Um, in that particular case, I'd probably say no, she wasn't, because that was the one request the daughter made. And I call BS on the aunt saying she doesn't have nothing else to wear. I mean, is that the only outfit in her closet was the brand new dress? I mean, you could have wore something else if you wanted to be there. So in that case, I would say no, she was not the asshole.
And by the way, overwhelmingly, everybody on the Reddit page also said, no, she's not the asshole. And the majority of them side exactly with you because you only get one Sweet 16. That girl is not going to be 16 again. If this is the only parameter of the party, you better throw a pair of jeans on and a t-shirt. You're not the focal point of the party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I mean, I do think it is awfully petty as well. Um, about a color that you can't wear. I mean, what are we gang members? I mean, what if everybody else wore blue and they were? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So just I don't know. That to me that's pretty petty. But if I was the aunt, I would just find something else to wear. Because you're right, you only turn 16 once.
yeah. By the way, also overwhelmingly not the asshole, the people that I work with that I shared this story with. So they agree. So it looks like that aunt might need to like I said, throw on something else and make it there or not. Me personally, um, I'm glad that I have boys. I don't have to deal with that. Uh, you know how it is. Boys don't care. They don't care. So we get lucky there.
A boy turns 16. Nobody wear any clothes. Everybody, come on. Everybody naked.
Oh, don't get me started. That might no, we're not gonna do. Well, it depends on who do we get to invite. Wait, never mind.
Anybody.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next one here.
Everybody's welcome.
That yeah. Uh, some things you just can't unsee though, Big Show.
True that. But hey, some things you can see and want to see again.
Am I the asshole for
Yeah. Oh,
publicly tell?
sorry.
No, not me, not me.
My bad.
That's a
My
different
bad.
story for a different show. But am I the asshole for publicly telling my ex coworker that I don't like them? Before I even read this one, we've all had that coworker that we didn't particularly care about. We've all had the coworker that we wanted to say something to. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. This person had the balls to say something.
And
Good,
we've
bad,
all
right, or
been
wrong.
we've all been that coworker that somebody didn't like either.
Yes, that's true.
So it's a two-way street.
Now, I ran into an ex coworker. See, this isn't even fair already. Sarah, at a bar while I was out with friends celebrating my birthday. We worked together for 2 years at a fast food restaurant. I left this job in January, and she was a shift lead, and I've never liked her. I didn't like her management style or her personality. She came up to me at the bar, and we had a 10-ish minute conversation. I thought it was cordial and polite. She was mostly asking me questions about my new job. She asked if I would recommend her for a job at my new company. I got a job at a call center, nothing glamorous. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with that. She brushed it off with a bad joke. I ended the conversation and walked to the table with my friends where my friends were, and Sarah followed me. I didn't notice until I got to the table and she sat down next to me. Red flag there. Uh, my friends introduced themselves and without thinking said something along the lines of, I don't like you. Can you please leave? Oh, damn. Right off the top of your head, huh? I have autism. Okay. This is another point then. And I could tell that that was not the correct thing to say. Everyone seemed uncomfortable, and Sarah was visibly shocked and upset. My friends were shocked and confused. They assumed that Sarah was a friend or someone I invited to the table. They had zero context of who Sarah is. Sarah made a scene and told me that I was rude, a bitch, and a bunch of other things. She said that I embarrassed her. She embarrassed herself by following me to the table uninvited. And yes, she knew it was my birthday. I do feel bad about that. And I could have formulated a polite response, but she's a former coworker and an unpleasant one. I have many stories about her, but the worst examples is that she made jokes about my autism and deafness multiple times. She is fake nice, and her friendship style is bullying people. She has a really icky vibe. Okay, Big Show. I'm going to say no, this person's not the asshole. Uh, just by what they said about it.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Come here. What? At where? Okay. Okay. I love you too. All right. I'm gonna say yes. She was an asshole.
Why do you say yes?
Well, obviously, the lady that she said she didn't like had no clue that she didn't like her. So all the time that any other meeting that they had was fake.
Mhm.
Um, and I think using autism is a scapegoat
Okay. Okay. I can see that. I
because you
definitely can
already
see
know
that
you
because
have it. You already know you have it, so you can't say, "Well, I'm autistic, so I just blurted out." No,
no,
that's
and,
no.
and I'm at full disclosure, I have a child who has autism, and he knows better than
Hmm.
to say anything like that.
Yeah, it just, yeah, I would say yes, she's the asshole. She's not wrong though for doing what she did and saying what she said, but you know, you can be an asshole and still be wrong or right. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, I like your answer there. Because right or wrong is different than being an asshole or not being an asshole. So
yes.
when you put it that way, you're not wrong, but you were an ass about it. And she probably could have put it in a different perspective. She probably even could have waited, even if it was something that she had to say. I would wait until everybody was leaving. She came, she sat there. She obviously doesn't hate you because she took the time out to come over there.
Yeah, she felt comfortable enough to go visit you and meet all your friends. She thought she was in that little inner circle of yours, which is your fault for letting her think that she was.
And by the
Because
way,
trust me, the coworkers that I've worked with in the past
mhm,
that I didn't like, they knew it. There was no misconstruing. If they saw me out on the street, they wouldn't come up and say what's up and try to sit next to me at when we're eating. No, they wouldn't do that.
I can feel you on that. Oh, the majority on this one says not the a hole.
Right, because
Interesting.
they want to be politically correct because she has autism. They don't want to be bullying behavior, so they're being politically correct.
Oof. This one, oh, this one I want to ask everybody that's
And I
listening,
said
watching
it, and
us.
I don't care if y'all like it or not. Now what?
That too. I want to hear y'all's input on this. So make sure that you message us or email us at the Slightly Warped Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, just drop a comment. For this particular one, is she the asshole or not the asshole? I'm curious because this one I could see flip going either way, but I like your explanation for it, Big Show, and that makes it make more sense. It's crazy that a podcast called Slightly Warped makes things makes more sense. But hey, I guess that's where we are in society now.
Well, even a broke clock is right twice a day.
That is true. All right, third one. This one is a little. Let me just go to it. Am I the asshole for telling my parents to just get a divorce already? All right, I'm going to read this one. And it says, never posted on Reddit before, but I don't know what to do from here on out. When I was in year 8, my parents moved us from our hometown. And since moving, they would yell at each other over things as simple as what's for dinner. My dad would threaten to divorce my mom and my mom would end up crying. So much so, I wish he really went through with it. I tried to tell my parents my own struggles on various occasions, but always too scared to tell them in person as they were almost always ready to snap at me or each other. So I wrote them a letter. I put it on their nightstand and I expected them to take me to therapy. Nothing changed. I assumed they might have lost the letter or thrown it away by accident, so I wrote an email. Weeks passed. Nothing changed. One day I was just curious. Maybe my mom hadn't seen it. But to my horror, when I opened her Gmail, it had been read. I was mortified. A few months ago, I told my school counselor, uh, and I was in tears, what I had been going through. They contacted and explained to my parents I was struggling with mental health, and they suggested I go see a psychiatrist. My parents finally agreed, except after a few weeks of sessions, my psychiatrist suggested I get diagnosed for both depression and ADHD as I showed the many of the signs. Since the comment, I have not been back to the psychiatrist. My parents stated that I was ridiculous. I struggled with any of that as, excuse me, parents, for our English speaking audience, I struggled with any of that as I never thought I brought up my struggles or showed symptoms to them. At that point, I snapped. I was crying, barely could contain myself. You should just get a divorce already. I feel like you don't even love me. I ran it through my tears. My dad said back, your mother and I are working through our own issues. We don't have time for your self diagnosis. At this point, I was so done. I called my older brother and am now staying with him. I feel bad. I still love my parents. I have some good memories with them, and I don't want to believe that they would intentionally hurt me. Should I apologize and go back? Okay, that was a mouthful there.
How old is
Um,
she?
it does not say. It just says that they've been fighting since she was 8. Now, obviously, if she's moved in with her brother, but she was talking to her school counselor, I'm going to say she's still high school age.
So we're just assuming 15, 16, 17, somewhere in that arena.
Yeah, 15 to 18
Okay.
range. I'm going to say no, not the asshole, because there's a couple different things going on. Um, yeah, you can tell any couple just get a divorce already, uh, based on the way they act. Now, they're adults. It's up to them on whether they follow through with it or not, but you shouldn't feel bad about it. Especially this particular case, this person appears to have a lot going on for themselves right now that they're going through. So I would just forget about it, focus on yourself, and do what you got to do. Their situation is going to work itself out one way or the other, but you got to work yours out. So you're not the asshole for saying it.
Mm. I'm going to go ahead and say not the asshole, but not your place to say anything. You're the
Hmm.
child. You're the
Okay.
child. We're the parents. We have adult issues. Yes, you have your own issues. Now, if the parents are completely ignoring her and trying and not helping her get her help through whatever her mental issues are, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, yeah. Different animal.
But she didn't say that in that Reddit post. So technically, yes, she's an asshole. But I'm not. I'm gonna say no because it's not your place to say anything. You should probably apologize. But it seems like there's a bigger problem if they allowed you to move out.
Ooh, I never even thought about that. That right there is a game changer right there. Because what is you're
Because
right. What does that say?
my daughter, before she turned 18, she could have said she wanted to move with her sister, and no, sorry, not an option. You could shit in one hand and wish in the other and see which one fills up first, but no.
Ah, that's a good one. Use that by the way. Um, uh, looks like the majority agreed with us on this one as well, not the asshole. So okay, that one I can't see it like the last one going flip flopping the other way because if you remove all the other issues, not saying that they did or didn't, have anything to do with it, still, good, bad, right, or wrong, you can't take back what you said, and I don't think you're the a hole for it because you're going through something, and sometimes when people go through things, they may say things, and if this has been going on for years, and you wrote a letter, you sent an email, nothing happened, there might be some valid stuff going on. And then we also don't know the extent of these parents' arguments. Were there physical altercations? Are they just yelling at each other? Um, we don't know. It
But honestly, regardless of all of that, it's
mhm,
still not her place to say a damn thing. It's not your place.
true.
If you are a minor, you can say, I don't agree with it. You can say all the other stuff, but just to flat out tell your parents they should get it. Now, it depends also how you said it. I mean, there's a lot. This one has a lot of gray area too,
Oh yeah.
because she could have walked down the room and just flippantly said, "Oh, you guys should divorce already," and kept pushing
Right.
to a room. I mean, we don't know the context of how she said it, but if she was like in the middle of an argument and said it to them or whatever, again, context. We got to know her place. Know her place, I guess I should say.
I like that. All right, now this next one. Am I the asshole if I gave a free pretzel to one kid but not the other? This isn't
This one cracked
interesting.
me up. This one
Hi,
made me
I work
laugh.
at a Subway, and most of the time I do not give a fuck about what goes on. But this particular day, I was in a bad mood. So when a family walks in with their two daughters, the oldest about 17, they asked for a foot long and was told no. But when the younger one, who bawled her eyes out because she didn't want a 6 inch, got a foot long anyways, that didn't make sense. She wouldn't want a 6 inch, but got a foot long. Oh, the daughter said no. Okay. The parent,
The oldest daughter wanted a foot long, was told no. The little girl was mad. Oh no, you're right, because it did read it different. Yeah.
yeah, that's why it threw me off too. The parents the whole time was telling their oldest daughter no for almost anything, but the youngest got everything she asked for: chips, drink, uh, hence the pretzel Subway sells. Anyways, at the at the end, while I was making the pretzels, I gave a free one to the oldest because I understand what it's like being an older sibling to someone who gets everything they want. Her parents glared at me, but I told them uh, that one is free of charge since I accidentally, in quotes, made two instead of one. They expected me also not charge them the other pretzel for the youngest. And I explained to them again that I made two on accident. So the second one the is the free one by my mistake. They made a big deal and even my manager who they spoke to was on my side about it. Overall, they paid and were so pissed. But am I the asshole? Okay. Okay, first off, no, you're not. I think you did a really good thing by making that pretzel. I'm going to say that these parents were a-holes because as someone with multiple kids, you don't treat one a certain way and not treat the other one that same way. This person did exactly the right thing. I mean, the only other thing you could do is just stay out of it altogether. But by making that extra pretzel, you didn't do anything wrong. Big Show?
Um, yes, you're an asshole. You butted your nose into something that didn't belong to you. It's if it was my kid, because she doesn't, again, the person working at Subway does not know the context of why this girl was not getting what she wanted.
Right.
Okay. So if I was the parent, I would have eaten the pretzel in front of the bitch that gave the kid the free pretzel just to piss her off. That's the kind of
Oh,
guy I am. And yes,
wow.
from a parent that has multiple children, you do treat them differently when they act up.
True. When they act up, and I want to go back to what you said about the context, because you are right about that. We don't know if the older one was in trouble for something, and that's
Now,
why.
if you read further in the day, it does say that they happen to end up going to school together. The oldest girl and the girl that worked Subway actually are in the same homeroom in high school, and that the girl was being punished because she failed the test.
And there it
Now,
is.
but hold on. But here it is. You and I may not agree with that, right? But
Right.
that doesn't make it wrong.
No, no, it
Everybody,
does not.
everybody parents differently. Was it nice of her to make a pretzel? Okay, sure. You kind of put the parent on the spotlight to not overreact. I mean, we don't know. Hell, she unless the girl ate the pretzel right there in Subway, the mom could have snatched that shit from her when she got into the car. We don't know.
We don't. We don't. You're
But
right.
but you know,
I
the mother could have also said, no, we only want one pretzel. I don't care if it's a free pretzel. You eat it. Give it to the next person.
very
You know,
true.
there's a lot of things that could have happened. But my thing is, especially when it comes to family things, if you're not in the family, keep your fucking mouth shut. That's simple.
I like
Unless
that.
asked. Unless asked.
Makes sense. All right, gang. I got one
And
more I want to run
and
through.
I do
Oh,
think
go
that's
ahead.
old school, our old school ways. You know, what happens in this house stays in this house. You know, we're all raised that way.
Yeah, but unfortunately, these times are changing, and I would love to talk about that. That's a whole nother story for another time, for another podcast. Um, I'm gonna get through this last one here. Am
All right.
I the asshole for not following my husband's family tradition? Okay,
This one's pretty good.
now she's 28-year-old female, husband's 29. My husband comes from a very traditional family. While we disagree with his family on many things, it has never really been an issue until now. I'm currently 8 months pregnant, and my husband and I couldn't be happier as we've been trying for a while. Since I first found out I was pregnant, we've been discussing names for our child. In my husband's family, the tradition wants the child to be named after his grandfather. Basically, firstborn men in his family only have one of two names, James or Henry. My husband's grandfather was James, so his name is James too. My husband's father is called Henry, so our child should be too, and so on and so forth. But my husband and I didn't really feel like calling our child Henry. And although it's a beautiful way to honor the family members, we really wanted our child to have a name that would be personal, that would truly be his. So we chose another name and decided to wait until after the birth to reveal it to everyone. This week, my mother in law came to visit us and help us set up for the baby, excuse me. She brought us some presents, amongst which she had a bunch of clothes on which she had hand embroidered the name Henry. Um, I said that was nice and thanked her for it, but told her that we wouldn't be naming our child Henry, as we had already told her in the past. She started insisting and saying that it was a tradition, so it had to be that way. I explained to her that we'd rather give our child a name that we chose, and that Henry could be his middle name. I'll get to that part in a second. She immediately went to my husband and started saying things like, "You're not going to let her do that to our family," and making it very dramatic, saying that I was breaking a tradition that went back for hundreds of years. Honestly, not sure about that. My husband tried to explain that we both agreed on the name and that all the reasons why we made the choice, but she wouldn't listen. She suggested that uh, names that we named him Henry on paper as his legal name and then called him something else. But I thought that would be confusing for him and told her that he would not be named that, and that was our choice. So she kept begging my husband and saying that I was ruining the family tradition. Okay, yeah, she already went to that part. Um, I get the importance of tradition, and it can be really beautiful, but I also feel like that it shouldn't be an obligation. And she has an edit here. I've seen many comments mentioning they saw similar stories in the past. I'd like to clarify those weren't mine. All of these events happened 2 days ago, but it's crazy to see how many families have similar situations and traditions. I really thought this was a super rare thing. All right. Um, Switching around, just the public on the Reddit already said she's not an asshole for making this choice. And I don't believe she's an asshole either. You have the right to name your
Just
child anything you want.
just as the last story, she was the asshole for butting into that family's business. This mother is not an asshole for standing her ground for her family business.
Mm-hmm.
And if sh they hadn't already told the grandmother that we're not naming the kid Henry, then if they hadn't told that, I would see why grandma might be a little upset. But she already knew that because according to that, they've been told most of the times. No, she's not an asshole. They can name the kid Buckwheat Henry Jenkins if they want to. It doesn't matter. No, they're not an asshole.
Yeah. I I am totally on her side about this, and I have two sons, Charles and Darian. Both of them have the middle name Lee, which was my dad's middle name. But one of my sons is Charles, one is Darian, um, and that's how they will always be differentiated. I would not name them, uh, and thankfully we don't have a tradition like that, because our tradition would be really jacked, because I am named after my dad. We are both Richard, which means that both of my kids would be named Richard. I'm not going the George Foreman route. Um,
Rest his soul.
yes, rest his soul. Um, I have no problem with what she did and how she handled it, and I really think that the mother-in-law was being a little too pushy by continuing to bring up the conversation. I understand that she might be put off by it. She might even be a little hurt, but at the end of the day, it's not your child. And if they name, like you
I
said, if they
mean,
name it buckwheat as the grandma, you should still love to spoil that child, but don't be mad because his name ain't Henry.
and, and it very well may be emotionally damaging to try to change tradition in a family like that. But, you know, if no, I was named after my grandfather, and that's not what I call myself. Ryan is not my first name. Ryan is actually my middle name. I don't go by my first name.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
All right, spill the tea.
My first name is actually Clarence.
Okay.
Clarence Ryan.
All
And
right.
I named after my grandfather. But I just don't like the first name. So even Ryan Eugene, that's my name. That's what I go by.
I like that. I like that. So, again, not the asshole. And you agree, right?
Agree.
Okay. You guys at home, I'm curious if you have any stories like this as well. So, you should hit us up with that because we'd be more than happy to share. We don't have to go to Reddit. We can, pop off some of your own and give our exciting input on something that you might have on your mind. So be sure and
Yes.
hit us up. You can even email us at the slightly warped podcast at yahoo.com or on your podcast feed or YouTube. Go in the comment section and let us know. We'd be more than happy to hear from you. Not a bad episode, we know, for being off for a couple weeks, huh, show?
Yes, sir.
All right. We will be back next week, God willing. And hopefully all of you guys will be in here to tune in with us. And we hope to have more fun in the future. Show, you want to take us on out of here?
Hey, thank you guys for tuning in to us. We'll see you next time. Love each other. Tomorrow's not promise. Peace and chicken grease.
Good night, everybody.